Hi, I'm Rufus, and welcome to the Insta Gamers Network. Today on the channel, we're talking about games that other people love, but just isn't for us. Now, while watching this, I want you all to keep in mind that us here at the Insta Gamers Network love and respect game designers for what they do, and we mean no disrespect or offense to anyone that loves these games or to the designers of these games. We're just giving our sole opinions of the games that other people love that just isn't for us. So anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show!
How's it going? I was just trying to relax and started thinking about fear. Particular fear of the unknown. You know, H.P. Lovecraft called fear the oldest emotion that mankind can experience. But not just any fear did he mention. No, he mentioned fear of the unknown. You know what scares me even more than muddled machinations in the mind? Elder Sign. Today we're talking about something a little bit different. Games that seem to get a lot of acclaim and people seem to really like, but don't necessarily work for you. For me, that's got to be Elder Sign, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so Elder Sign is a part of the wildly popular Arkham Horror series of games. You can see here on the box, it's one of the Arkham Horror files. This series of games is wildly popular. You go into a friendly local game store and you see expansions and additions and maps. I mean, there's a ton of content for this game, so people really like it. People are playing it. I have a really hard time getting into it. And I can boil it down to one thing. It's really hard. Okay, so joking aside, I really like this game. I really want to like it. It works for me. The Cthulhu thing is really cool. You're in this kind of depression era setting. You've got otherworldly beings. You're working together and racing against the clock. You're putting together mystical clues and stuff. It's really good, but it is really difficult to beat this game. I don't think I ever have. Now, maybe I'm just really bad at it, but I'm not sure. This game is designed to pummel you. So much so, I have a really hard time hiding my desperation when I even explain how to play.
Okay, so we're playing as these people, and they look really formidable and strong, but they're not. This guy's a magician, but his hat just is going to make him look stupid. And this guy's a private eye. He's got a fedora. He looks really cool, and he's got guns and stuff. And the nun's got God on her side, but, well, these are gods too. And here's a gangster. He's got a Tommy gun, but yeah, he'll probably die. And, oh, what else? Well, look, these adventures are what we're trying to complete, but they just take your dice away from you, just right at the get-go. You can't even use these. And look, once you beat this one and free it, it'll just take. Oh, and these are monsters. So, yeah, the monsters come out and they're really hard, and then you have to roll dice for them, but your dice are taken here, and so you gotta roll, and these you have to do them in order because the game's not hard enough, and these things hate you. Ready? Oh, this one you turn the clock. Look, you gotta add the clock, and then you turn it, and then every time you get to 12, you draw one of these cards, and they'll probably hate you too. Data Doom, yeah, monster, added Doom. Just Oh, yeah. So we're trying to take down Haster, and like we've got 6 and 4 health hit points. He's got 13, and he attacks us, and it's. We probably should play something else.
I have to mention again, the greatest nemesis in this game are these jerks. So now we roll. Awesome. One more time, I guess. Come on. Alright, I'll do it. I guess I'll roll again. Alright. I, for one, welcome our otherworldly overlords. Okay. If you think you've got what it takes to take down the otherworldly beings of Elder Sign, well, you should definitely check it out. Who am I to judge? Prove me wrong, really.
Hi, my name's Dave Adams, and you might know me as Nerd of Wisdom on Instagram. Secret confession time. This is the big one. And by big one, I mean #1 on Board Game Geek. Yes, that's right. The game that I have decided is not for me is in fact Pandemic Legacy. Play over a series of 12 months, perhaps 1 to 2 times, on average about 18 games. And that was about April when I decided that I don't think this game is for me. And there's a few reasons that went into that, but I just want to take a moment to truly appreciate what a well-crafted and brilliant game this is. For me, the Legacy system is one of the most exciting systems to come to gaming and to really connect the whole idea of board gaming with story. I've been a big fan of Rob Davio for a while, and I really appreciate just his investment in trying to find what mechanics and systems that allow players to truly engage in good story. I think it's also led on to a whole bunch of new developments. In fact, I would say it started to change and shape the way we even view board games, not as things that need to be replayable constantly, but things that can be purposeful for a period of time. So almost like with a designed impermanence, which I think really led into even perhaps the escape room sort of games. I'm not saying there's a direct correlation, but I think it really helped players to be prepared for and ready to receive that as a concept. So I think Legacy is a huge deal, and I really appreciate what Matt Leacock's offered with Pandemic, simply because it really broke open the whole co-op gaming itself. One of the geniuses of Pandemic is that it's got a system that works irrespective of the players. So the system will continue to turn over and work, and it has the ability to amp up. It creates tension, it builds suspense, and it's got ramp value to it. So it really ramps up towards the end and creates that pressure. In my thinking, Pandemic is a very clever game, but at the same time it's also the factor that really disconnected for me. As much as I really appreciate the design of it, and I really think Rob Davio and Matt Leacock are two of the best designers in the fields today, I really struggle with Pandemic on the basis that at some points you get to the risk reward disappears. There's nothing that I can do more, or there's no risks I can take in the gameplay. The only way risk actually occurs is when you've got 2 options, and most of the time you know what cards are going to come off the top. You may not know the order, but you have some understanding. And so what you know is that it's either going to be this country or this country, and you've got 2 options in which to either go and control this country and hope that the next one that comes to the top is that country so that you've contained it and managed it, or you go with the other country and hope it's that card that comes off the top. But either way, like, essentially boils down to a coin toss, and for me that really breaks the tension. So I feel I can work at an optimal level, and all I can do is hope that the cards are kind. I really feel there's nothing for me to grow in the game. And when I compare it to other co-ops that I really love, like Ghost Stories, when I fail at it nearly every time, all the time. However, whenever I fail, I feel there's always something more I could have done, or there's bigger risks I could have taken, or there's opportunities that I missed to do well. So even though it still has that same probability that I could just come down to an unlucky draw, there's still a lot more for me as a player to do, and a lot more option for me to do, and there's that whole risk reward. There's those decisions, that tension of decision, whereas I don't find that in Pandemic. I find that a lot of the time it's just you do the most optimal move that you can make with the pieces that you have, and you wait to see what happens. That said, I think Pandemic Legacy is game-changing. The very existence of it has really shaped and changed the way we think about gaming. After having decided that I don't enjoy the game, that I don't want to do Season 2, I still listen to podcasts from the designers on Pandemic Legacy. I still watch their Gamma trade show presentations, because they're always talking about the design process and what went into it. And the more I see what went into it, the more I appreciate just how clever the whole design process is, and how brilliant it was for them to come up with the product that they have. I even recommend it to people I think will like it, but I know it's just not for me. It's not going to be enough of a game experience to make me want to keep playing it. And I'm quite happy moving on and playing other games. And so I'm really excited for what this game represents for our industry. I really think it's brilliant in terms of stepping us forward in connecting story and creating new mechanics that open up what we can think and how we think about games. But I think I'm pretty happy leaving my gaming experience with Season 1. So that said, I hope that if you haven't played Pandemic Legacy, the thing I'm going to say is, whether you end up liking it or not, you should really try and experience it. Definitely get in on a game if you can. Give it a go. Until next time, I'm Dave Adams. Bye for now.
What's up, fellow board game bandits? It's your friend the Board Game Renegade, back here for another Instagamers Network. Today we're talking about games that other people love but just isn't for us. And when this topic came up, a game immediately came to mind, and that is Betrayal at the House on the Hill. So the concept of Betrayal at the House on the Hill is a pretty cool concept. Each of the players takes on the role of a character, and these characters are going into a haunted house and exploring to see what's in there. And then at some point in the game, one of the players becomes a betrayer or a traitor, and no one knows who that traitor is at the beginning. It actually happens randomly, and once that happens, the game flip-flops, and then it becomes a one versus all game, where the player that is the betrayer has an objective, and the other people have an objective, and they kind of go against each other, and either the betrayer wins or the main group wins. So here are the reasons that I don't like the game. Like I said, the game takes place in two parts. During the first part of the game, you're exploring these tiles like this, okay? You're exploring a mansion, and you're exploring different tiles and moving from room to room, and it's pretty much random. Most of the rooms are exactly the same, really. I mean, the picture is different, but it's the same thing. And what you're doing is you're searching and you're finding random items, and random events are coming about. Those random events sometimes hurt you or hurt other characters, and then your stats go down on these poorly designed cards. As you can see, these dials keep track of everything: your sanity, your knowledge, your might, your speed, and it's kept with these little dials here that don't even work. Okay, sometimes they fall off. This one's pretty good, but they keep sliding and moving around. I actually found that using paper clips works better. Anyway, the first half of the game is so random. Even when the haunt happens, when you know who the betrayer is, you're pretty much rolling dice, and that determines when it happens and who the betrayer is going to be. So I actually feel that the game would be even better and shorter and more streamlined if you just hand out a few items to each player, give each player a few events to see what happens, and then adjust their card accordingly, and then keep those items, and then go directly to the haunt randomly. That's the way I feel the game should be, because like I said, the first part is actually the longer part sometimes, and it is extremely random, and to me, very boring. So the problems don't totally end with the first half of the game. Now the second half of the game is my favorite part, because that's when all of the meat of the game happens, and the game is most of the time different, because there are so many scenarios and they happen randomly, so you don't know what's going to happen, and that is cool. The problem is that these books are written poorly at times, and sometimes you don't even know what you are supposed to do. It is actually harder for the betrayer sometimes because they can't discuss their plan with anyone, and if they are stuck with not understanding what they're supposed to do, they have no one to help them because the main group of people have their own objective and the betrayer has her own objective, so they can't really ask, hey, what does this mean? So sometimes the rules are fiddly for these haunts, and like I said, I really like the concept of the game, but it just falls flat for me, and a lot of people love it. Now, as you can see, I actually still own the game, and that is because I love gaming in general, and even if a game is not loved by me, and some of my friends like it or want to play it, I'll play it because I play games for the social interaction of it. Anyway, folks, let me know in the comments below whether you like the game or not. If you like the game and love the game, I'm sorry, but the game just is not for me. So, folks, I'm the Board Game Renegade. Until next time, peace out.
Hi everyone. So this episode we're talking about games that we don't get on with so well, but other people seem to really like. And what sprung to mind for me was Pandemic. So this was a game that should be one of my sort of games I look back on with fond memories. Like, it was one of the first tabletop games that we got, and I enjoyed my first game of it, I think, but we couldn't beat the game. As time went on, there was one particular person in the group that was having a really bad case of quarterbacking, I think it's called, and basically just dictating what everyone did. And I don't really like being told what to do. I think cooperative games should be, you know, you play it as a group activity and you take advice from each other, but you are still free to make your own choices, and you know, if it all goes wrong, then on your head be it, sort of thing. I think that's okay. And most of all, a co-op experience should be fun. But Pandemic really didn't become fun for me anymore. It was just like, oh, not this again. So now, Pandemic unfortunately holds those memories for me. And I know there's been a lot of new versions of it, and they look really good. Cthulhu Pandemic looked really cool, but no, can't do it now because it just gives me a cold shiver every time I think of the game. So yes, a lot of people love Pandemic in its different forms. It's always sort of well received by people, especially new gamers, but for me, no. If anyone suggested it, I'd run a mile. That's just my little bit on why I don't like Pandemic anymore. Boo. That's me done, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
We'll catch you next time. Ciao!